This video is about the first of the Ten Commandments. So let's start with reading what the first commandment actually says. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall not have other gods beside me. You shall not make for yourself an idol or a likeness of anything in the heavens or on the earth, below or in the waters beneath the earth. You shall not bow down before them or serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, inflicting punishment for their ancestors' wickedness on the children of those who hate me, down to the third and fourth generation, but showing love down to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. So, we're going to go in two parts here. We're going to first go into what the commandment demands and then what the commandment prohibits. So first of all, the commandment demands faith, hope, and love. So in faith, we can see that from it where it says, I am the Lord your God. And for hope, we can see that where it says, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. So if God brought us out of slavery, we should have hope that God would continue to care for us. And then finally, love, you shall not have other gods besides me. That is a call for us to love God. And that brings us to another demand, is that we worship only God. And the question is, what does it mean to worship? What does worship mean? Well, worship is not kneeling or praying. Worship is actually, I think it's best described by this thing that Jesus said in the book of Matthew. He described the greatest law as, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. Right? So to worship God is to love God with our whole being, everything about us. And so kneeling, right, we can kneel, but that's not necessarily worship, right? It doesn't say what's in our heart when we kneel. And same for praying, right? Praying is talking. And when we pray, that doesn't necessarily say what's on our heart. So that praying is not worship. Worship is faith in God, hope in God, and loving God with all your being. Even though prayer is not worship, prayer, however, is something we do when we worship God, right? And when we love God with our whole being, it's our natural desire to talk to God and to seek God out and to ask God for things and to want to give God things. And so in the same vein, when we make sacrifices for God, it's not worship, but it's a sign of worship when we desire to set aside ourselves for God. Now on to the next section is, what does the first commandment prohibit? First of all, it prohibits superstition. And superstition is like where you attribute magical properties to items, right? Like thinking that you have some sort of bad luck or good luck when you do certain things, right? We don't believe in that. We don't believe in magic. We believe in science and miracles, and that is it. The first commandment also prohibits idolatry. One form of idolatry is polytheism, which is the belief in other gods or demigods. Right? We must believe in the one God, creator of all things, but we may not believe in demigods, lower gods, or any partner gods of God. Also, idolatry is to trust in idols. In the ancient times, an idol was this little thingy, might have been made out of gold or something like that, and they saw these things as kind of living and magical and having power like God. we don't tend to have that problem today, but there's other idols that we should avoid today. One of them is money. Um, to treat money as an idol is to treat it as if it could solve all our problems, right? It doesn't solve all the problems. We shouldn't build a life around money, right? That's making it into an idol, and we shouldn't do that. Another idol is the idol of capitalism. Capitalism is a good thing. It does a lot of good, but it's not perfect. It is not the solution to all of our problems. But when you treat it as a solution to every problem, you're idolizing it. You're treating it like an idol, and it's a violation of the first commandment. You should always look at capitalism with humility. Does it really solve the problem here that we're trying to solve? Another thing the First Commandment prohibits is all various forms of divination. Divination might be conjuring the dead, for example, to try to get some sort of information or to talk with the dead. Another example is the use of horoscopes, astrology, palm reading. You may not use horoscopes. You may not even pretend to use horoscopes and just do it for fun, right? There were many martyrs who died for refusing to even pretend to worship an idol. And in the same vein, we should not even pretend that horoscopes are something that we do just for fun, because some people might see it and think that it's real. If you want to know more about how the Catholic opposes use of horoscopes, you can read the Catechism, paragraph 2116. Another form of divination is recourse to mediums. You shouldn't talk to a palm reader or anybody who says they can tell you your future. You should not be wearing charms, right? A lot, some people will say that these charms have some sort of healing effect, they have some sort of energy flowing through them. You might have heard this, and really they're just rocks. They're nothing other than rocks. Don't be deceived. There's a passage in the book of Daniel where Daniel tells the king, "Don't be deceived, O king," right? And he's saying this about the king thinks that this idol is actually powerful, and he worships this idol. And Daniel ends up proving to the king that the king's being fooled by the priest. And if you want to read about that, I encourage you to read Daniel chapter 14, verses 1 to 21. So if you want all of these good things that these superstitions suggest to you, go to God instead. Right? If you want these good things, go to God. Right? Don't go to these poor, deceptive substitutes. Only God is a solution to every problem. Only God is the true source of joy for us. So focus on God and leave these other demigods behind. Another point that I wanted to get into is I want to talk about holy water, just to help fully emphasize what we preach in the First Commandment. So the question we can ask is holy water, is it magical in some way, right? If we bless ourselves with holy water, right, is there something about the water that's different that makes us blessed? Well, no. There's nothing different about the holy water than regular water. There's no magic in it. What really happens is that the bishop blesses the water. So the bishop says some sort of prayer, and this prayer is basically, bless this water so that people who bless themselves with it will be blessed, right? So it's the prayer that the bishop makes and God answering the prayer that leads to that blessing. But there's nothing special about the water itself, right? So when you're blessing yourself, it is God answering the prayer of the bishop when you bless the water. And another question people might ask about the first commandment is, are we allowed to even make images of God in a sense? Because in the first commandment, it actually says that we can't make any of these images. But actually, if you read this passage in the book of Deuteronomy explains why the Jews at that time couldn't make any images at all. I'm going to read that to you. Because you saw no form at all on the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb from the midst of the fire, be strictly on your guard not to act corruptly by fashioning an idol for yourselves to represent any figure. So the reason you can't create any idol, any figure to represent God is because God didn't give you an image to represent, right? However, if God gives us an image to represent, then things would change, wouldn't it? And in fact, God did give us His Son. God came down to us as Jesus, and so now we do have an image of God. So when Jesus came, it changed the economy of images. I'll read this for you. This is from the Catechism. By becoming incarnate, the Son of God introduced a new economy of images. You can read more about that in the Catechism, chapter 2131. Sorry, not chapter, paragraph 2131. All right, so we can make images now, like the cross, for example, or the crucifix, and we can honor them because honoring them honors what they represent. For example, in the United States, we honor the United States flag. Why do we do that? Because it honors the country that it belongs to. In the same sense, we can honor images of God and the saints because it in turn honors them. All right. So that sums up what I have to say about the first commandment. So may God bless you.